Lots of cricket going on at the moment, not just the England-New Zealand test match, but there is another test series getting underway halfway across the world in the sunny Caribbean, where the West Indies are hosting South Africa. Quite unusual. These two don't meet up that often in test series, but here we are, and it looks like a tantalising prospect. And joining us to have a look at what we can expect is our good old friend, Mr. Johnny Barran. Johnny, how are you?
Darren, I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed. And well, delightful that we've got blue skies here and blue skies there. Perfect combo.
Interesting that before South Africa set off, they seem to think that given it's an unusual time of year to be playing cricket in the Caribbean, that they were expecting more rainy conditions. But it looks, as you say, sunny out there, and maybe a tale of fast bowling once again.
Well, I think it could be really interesting. I mean, there's been 7 test matches in St. Lucia. 4 of them have taken place in June, and all 4 ended up as rain-affected draws. So that's a little ominous. But I think as far as I understand, we're not going to see any rain till Monday. And the other thing we can say about St. Lucia is that actually it's quite a helpful surface for the quicks. You only have to look back at the last test match there, when, of course, Mark Wood took 5 for 42, which was, according to Shill Berry, who I think has seen 2 billion test matches over the years, he described it as the quickest ever spell he's ever seen by an England fast bowler. So, yeah, it could be interesting as far as the quicks are concerned.
Now, that both sides come into this having won 2 and lost 1 of their last 3 games. And with South Africa 7th in the World Test rankings, and West Indies have nudged up to 6th. So, fairly even contest, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating contest between the two sides. You know, South Africa, to be honest, since 2018, they've been a side in free fall. Between 2016 and 2018, they won 8 out of 9 series. Just England beat them in an away series back in the UK in 2017. But otherwise, they beat Australia home and away. They beat New Zealand home and away. They beat India as well. Then Morne Morkel retired, and a spate of other people went to play Kolpak cricket over in the UK. And South Africa have been slightly in free fall ever since. The start of that, of course, was when Sri Lanka humbled them both at home and away in quick succession. So they have been a side very much in transition for the last 3 years. As far as West Indies are concerned, well, of course, they come off the back of a gritty sort of 0-0 series draw against Sri Lanka that promised a lot but delivered very little in the end. And then that extraordinary win, of course, 2-0 away to Bangladesh. And you just feel that the West Indies are going in one direction and South Africa are a little bit stagnant at the moment.
That's right. I mean, they've lost, as you say, some very high-profile players, AB de Villiers, Hashim Amla, Faf du Plessis. And simultaneous to that is the decline in Rabada's form over the last couple of years. Do you think that they're due a turnaround, or are there more serious problems there?
It's a good question. I think the fault lines in South African cricket run fairly deep, to be honest. I think that the loss of Morne Morkel and Vernon Philander in very sort of quick succession, if you like, shorn them of a decent attack, I think, on the one hand. And then, of course, you know, the problems have been seen with their top order and the likes of de Villiers. You know, de Villiers hasn't really played a great deal of international cricket for 4 years now. But Faf du Plessis going, you know, Dean Elgar, as an example, has been a Kolpak player over in the UK for a number of years. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes at the helm. But I think South Africa, for me, are a slightly longer term project to come back. But they do have, you know, the playing resources, and they probably have a sounder overall infrastructure, you would say, than Cricket West Indies. But Cricket West Indies have played some really good stuff recently. You know, they pulled in a load of really serious TV deals off the back of their flamboyant play. And despite using 42 players in the last 9 games that they've played, they keep finding match winners time after time again.
Team news is in. Any thoughts on both teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pleased that, you know, as far as the West Indies is concerned, I guess Jayden Seales is the big one, the big standout player in that side that's come in. Age 19, just played 1 first-class game. Now, that is a pretty inexperienced player. I mean, I'm pretty sure I remember, I think Warner played international cricket before he played in a first-class game, didn't he, David Warner? So it's not without precedent. But he's an exciting prospect, but he's just 19, but he's been involved in quite a lot of West Indies cricket bubbles. So they've had a good look at him over the last sort of 6 or 8 months. And of course, you know, finally, Shea Hope is back in the side. Now, he was just outstanding in the white ball stuff against Sri Lanka last time out. And for me, he had to come back into this side. Bravo misses out. And Kieran Powell was possibly going to come in, you thought, maybe for Nkrumah Bonner, but quite wisely, they've stuck with Bonner, who's had such an outstanding start to his Test career.
And our hero, Rakeem the Dream Cornwall, is there too.
Well, yeah, we chatted about him a lot, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, Rakeem Cornwall is he's just such an energetically brilliant talent. He's such a joy to watch whether he's got ball in hand. His record in the last few Test matches is extraordinary. Averages, I think, 6 wickets a game. He's got back-to-back 50s as well, having not scored a bean in the early part of his career. No, Rakeem Cornwall is just a wonderful cricketer, and he's getting the results to show for the immense talent that he possesses.
Some issues with the captaincies on both sides. So obviously Jason Holder's been moved aside for Craig Brathwaite, and Dean Elgar is captaining the South Africans for the first time. So there are a lot of angles to this as a Test match, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, from a West Indies point of view, Craig Brathwaite has, I guess, relatively experienced now. He's got four games under his belt. The 2 Test matches against Sri Lanka, and of course he marshalled his troops brilliantly in that 2-0 victory over Bangladesh. Quite a few interesting statements, I thought, by Jason Holder coming into this match, talking about in the days he has left. I heard as a quote, in international cricket, I really want to enjoy them. Now, I don't know what that tells us, whether we're going to see a great deal more of Jason Holder in the international game. One hopes so. One really hopes so, because he's just he's such a priceless asset with bat and ball. Or whether he might be considering winding his career down and going in the search of all these lucrative franchise options. But time will tell on that one. As far as South Africa, are concerned, Dean Elgar is enormously experienced. He captained Surrey over here for a period of time when he was the overseas for Surrey County Cricket Club. He's been in the game for a number of years, an experienced player with a Test average around about 40. So, Craig Brathwaite very much on the, at the beginning of his captaincy, and likewise for Dean Elgar. But they're 2 pretty experienced pros now.
You would have thought. I mean, it's interesting. I saw those comments as well that Jason Holder made.
But he's in good physical condition. I think for Cricket West Indies, I think we mentioned last time, you want to build a team around this guy, because he's one of the rare commodities who get in the team either as a batsman or as a bowler, to be perfectly honest. And I would spend, if I was in the West Indies management group, I would spend the majority of my time pumping his tires up continually, because he can turn you games, he will win you games, and he's largely the reason why West Indies have been fairly competitive in quite a difficult era of cricket.
And he looks like the sort of character that the rest of the squad would truly respect, not only because of his history, but just the way that he carries himself.
Oh, Paul, absolutely. I mean, he's just a champion. In the times that I've sort of covered West Indies cricket, I mean, I'm very much at arm's length at the moment over here in the UK, but when I've been on the tours and covered them in the World Cup, etc., he's just such an engaging personality. He's brilliant with the media. He's brilliant with the players. He's enormously well respected because of his brilliance, but not just as a player, just as a man. He is talismanic. He's a giant in the game as far as the West Indies is concerned.
Now, you mentioned that you are covering this, and that's with Flow Sports again. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we do effectively a kind of highlight show, if you like. So think of the Verdict Light, which goes out every day just prior to the Test match. It's about 40 minutes, and me, Clive Lloyd, Tino Best talk about sort of all the previous day's events and what we anticipate is going to come up in the day's play. It's unmissable entertainment, Darren, as you might expect. And if you can find it either by searching out Flow Sports on Twitter or any social media, and the links are posted to YouTube every day, and I'll be certainly tweeting them from my account. So yeah, do join us. It'd be lovely to see you. So
if we want to follow you on Twitter, what's your Twitter handle?
It's at Johnny Barran, JOHNNYBARRAN, and I'll be sort of on covering this Test match, the second Test match, and the white ball games as well.
Yeah, so it's a 2 Test match series, isn't it? And interestingly, no, it doesn't count for the WTC, does it? I guess does that start again after the final, or I'm not quite sure what's going on.
It's an interesting one. I think what's happened is that this Test series was held over from the last round from the previous competition, if that makes sense. So I do think it's a slightly dangerous narrative, actually. People talking about Test matches counting, not Test matches, that don't count, so to speak. Every Test match is a major event. Each Test match over here, for instance, is worth 45 million pounds every time we play a Test match here in the UK. And sometimes you feel the administrators slightly forget about that.
Yeah, so Johnny, an unfair statistic now, given everything that's been going on in the world. But West Indies haven't won a home Test match since they stuffed England in January 2019. Looking at the team then and comparing it to the team now, there's actually quite a lot of players that are consistent between those two squads. I'm thinking Brathwaite, Hope, Roston Chase, Jason, Kimar Roach. So to that point about the blend of youth, and that they've blooded some youth, they've brought that through, but they brought it through with a settled squad as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really impressed with the way in which the West Indies have gone about their cricket in the last sort of year or so. And I think having Phil Simmons back at the helm is a steadying hand on the tiller, and you'll see his influence develop, I think, over the next 12 months. The key for West Indies, actually, largely the problems they've often had is being able to recruit and consistently play their premier players, who often have because they can't pay a vast amount. The Cricket West Indies don't have the kind of budgets that are available to the likes of sort of India and England and Australia. It's difficult to keep the cream of the talent playing, for West Indies, because they will be attracted to numerous other competitions around the globe. And I think that's half the battle, really. I mean, you've seen just endless talent seems to be coming out of these islands. As I said, I think 40 players have been used in the last in the last 10 games. 40, incredible. And they've only lost one of those 10 games. And quite interestingly, 19 of those 40 made a major impact on a game. That's incredible to have that breadth of people who are coming into the game and performing and consistently performing on a fairly regular basis. So I think, this is maybe the England defeat when West Indies won 2-1 was a slightly false dawn. I think they're in a better shape now for the kind of progress they've made over the last 8 to 10 months to progress. And if they were to beat for the first time ever, they've never beaten South Africa in the 7 times they've met. There's just been one. Well, I think there was a one-off game actually when South Africa were readmitted, but that doesn't count as a Test series. But if the West Indies were to beat South Africa here, I think that would be a major milestone for them.
Well, we look forward to it. It looks like an exciting contest to follow. If you can't get enough cricket, if the England games, the Vitality Blast, are not enough, and I would suggest they're not, because you can never have too much cricket. A really nice cherry on the cake is this West Indies versus South Africa series. So, as Johnny says, you can follow it on Flow Sports. If you just search for them, I'm sure you'll find them somewhere. But if you're on Twitter, follow Johnny. Johnny, what's the handle again?
It's at Johnny Barran.
Right. So you should be following Johnny anyway. Make sure you do. But we look forward to it, and it'll be a great test, and we'll be catching up soon. Johnny Barran, many thanks.
Lovely. A pleasure.